a very, very special day. Just to let you know, I will be your host for this event, just to ensure that it flows smoothly. And for the next session, which is the panel session, the masterclass session, it will be moderated by somebody I have known for quite a while. She's an amazing person. If you listen to Power FM 104.1, you know this voice. Early in the morning, 6 a.m. Kampala, how you doing? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your moderator of the afternoon, Miss Tola Kaitesi.
Thank you. She knows how to do that thing of making you move nervous. What? Hello, everyone. I am so honored to be a moderator to this very rich panel. Please, let me even do a bow. Thank you so much for having me. Are we excited for this conversation? Are we? I am as well. All right, so we are creatives in the room, right? Every time somebody says, thank you. Every time somebody says something that you think is tweetable, Xable, or you think this is what you do, right? The Gen Z thing of, we're ready to go. Okay, so I'll start. Really, this conversation is going to be about everything creative. Everything creative, from branding to entrepreneurship to how to make the money to Jesus and making him the center, all of those things. But first, I would like to highlight Mavis Musungu. And I would like for us to give a round of applause to MTN, right? We have not, I think you guys take the whole sponsorship thing to another level. You really do. It's more than sponsorship. It's making a dream come true. So to see that MTN is willing to sponsor Christian, art and creation, isn't that just good? Isn't that just good? There's a wise man who says, occupy everything. You know him? I wonder where he is. But yes, I feel like this is what it looks like. So Mavis is the GTM digital specialist, and I'd like for her to really just talk to us about this partnership with Vine Entertainment, what it means, and then I would love to get to know how these creatives can benefit from MTN.
Thank you very much. So, as earlier on mentioned, that MTN Uganda, our goal or our dream, our vision is to really support and stand with the music industry, not alone locally, but also international. So with the partnership with Vine is we get to have these beautiful guests, artists onto our platforms as well, so that you fans can really enjoy their music as your caller tunes, and also promote our because we're in the digital era, so payment is through ticketing on Momo. So the sponsorship that does not only mean pay a ticket or let's have MTN on board, but the goal and the vision to us, it is we are bringing the fan and the artist closer through our sponsorship. And then also it's an opportunity for us to drive and also push their art to the Ugandan community. I gave an example of Pompi has been here, I think, every Alive in the Park, but imagine if he was already on the collagen platform, I guess everyone in this audience would have a collagen as his music as their collagen, Yeah. So to the creative in this room, we have products like collagens, whereby you can monetize your music through the collagen platform. We have so many artists, both secular and gospel artists, who we really wanted some of them to be here, to share their testimonies, to really back up what I'm trying to say to you, that it is real. But we have lots of gospel artists who are on the platform, the likes of Levixon, Brian Lubega, Sam Chimera, Gabi Ntate, who really earn, or we've monetized their content. Yeah. I know someone is going to say that the share the artist gets is quite little, but to me, I see it as an opportunity. Utilize what you have at the moment as you look out or dream for the bigger picture. Yeah, you may look at it as a small amount, but when it's paid into your pocket, that's when you can say, this thing really works. So to the creative art in this room, do not be scared. Come, sign up. Let's have the opportunity to push your music. You don't have to be big. Someone may tell me I've mentioned the Vixen, I've mentioned Brian Lubega, I've mentioned Sam Chimera, but when you look at the examples I have stated, even their kind of music is different. Yeah, Sam Chimera's music is totally different from the Vixen's music, and we also have tastes and preferences. I might have Brian Lubega, or you may have Sam Chimera, because that is what you would love. And your audience better than us, better than me, MTN. You know your audience better. And we say, bring your music. And I have to also say, us providing the platform or providing the opportunity for you to monetize your content. I know most of us would want to sign directly with MTN, but that doesn't happen, or that's not the process. We go through an aggregator, and in case anyone in this room would want to sign up after this, please don't hesitate to reach out. Come to me, and we will. It's not only music. It could be sermons. It could be. We just signed up Apostle Grace's sermons recently on the platform, and people are already downloading them. So you're a blessing to someone in so many different ways. Utilize the opportunities provided by MTN to minister to someone or to preach the word of God. Thank you.
Another very big round of applause for MTN. Thank you. Thank you. The African Eagle, everybody. Somebody say rats. Occupy? You know it. Exactly. So, Pompi, there's a document that we put out, and we give people the opportunity to ask any questions that they would like to ask you. And while there was so many questions, there's one that was just constantly recurring, and I'm curious as well. Walk us through just what your creative process is like. And then Pompi has released albums from when I was attempting to dance. So I was like this short, and now really, yeah. So it's been years and years, and you've been relevant throughout. So what is your creative process like, and how do you manage to be sustainable with it? And then on the flip side, I would like for you to talk to us just about faith. For the people that might not know, Pompi was once a secular artist. Yes, he was. And he swung to Christianity. So how have you managed to keep your creative process and your faith sustainable in a way that it's so evident when we listen to your music?
Oh, thank you. First of all, I just want to thank all the creatives in the room. I relate with the struggle. On the continent, it's an honor to be with fellow artists. In regards to the creative process, of course, there is the innate graces that God gives, obviously, the music being one of them. Writing is another. So I started with poetry. I started actually first as a poet, and then I transitioned into a rapper. And then singing was not cool when I was in school. They used to say singing is for girls. So, you want to be a G. So the guys rapped. So, like, I only used to sing alone in private. Obviously, when you're a teenager, searching for validation, all sorts of places. So, what people thought shaped, how I expressed myself in public. But yeah, so in my creative process, now as a believer, and I'll speak about it now, obviously, I have devotionals every day. So in these devotions, I sort of journal. I journal what I learn or what comes out of those out of my study, and from those journals is where every I would say song is birthed. Um, it was be an inspiration of a thought, and then that thought just naturally, I don't get too technical with it. Naturally, whether it's like a reggae or dancehall kind of beat that I'm feeling like a giant killer or a hip hop, just naturally, um, I'm driven towards a particular sound, and I just go. But the most important thing for me is less the vehicle that I'm using or the sound that I'm using to drive the message. It's more I would say when I listen to a song, first thing that hits me is the lyrics. Yeah, so that's just me. Yeah, so even when I'm writing, I notice that I prioritize the lyrics, and then I try to find now how to fit those lyrics into the best sound that will be a best vehicle for that. So I'd say that's my creative process. Also, part of my creative process is I I I I decide to work with the best, whatever the cost. Yeah.
That deserves a hand clap,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. Because sometimes, I was an artist at one time. Obviously, I decided I was working with what I could afford. So, like, I would get the producer I can afford. Yeah, but one of my mentors said, "Look, if you wanna
Level up?
yeah, if you wanna level up, there's no excuses. You don't get into a room and start giving excuses. The standard is the standard. So no one is gonna hear or understand your excuses about no. Um, so I started saving up. I would work maybe a job, save up maybe for 3, 4 months to record one song. But from that time, I decided I want to work with the best. And there's ripple benefits of that. Why? Is because if in an elevator pitch, if I name drop somebody, let's say you name drop somebody you've collaborated with, it opens doors for you because you've name dropped this person, and people have got high respect for this person. So I noticed the change immediately. And obviously, yeah. And by the way, that principle I started with actually even when I was in as a circular artist. But when I transitioned even to the gospel, it was the same. I looked at who's the best producer in the country. It was Mag 44. And yeah, I decided to make him my friend. So I'm just friends with him because he's a good producer, not because
Oh, wow.
I'm joking. I'm playing. We genuinely grew into.
That's the camera.
We genuinely became good friends, but yeah, genuinely, he was the best producer in the country, and I decided. So whether it's vocal, Don is here. He's our vocal director. He's sitting somewhere. Don, where are you? If you can wave. Yeah. Don is our vocal director. He's written songs for some of the biggest gospel artists in Zambia. Yeah, obviously he made him part of our team. He's the best vocal director I know. We have Kaingo, he's our music director. Yeah, I would say he's the best music director in the country. Not just that I'm hyping up the guys I work with, but I really feel if you want to get the output that it will be impactful, you shouldn't negotiate on who you are collaborating with. They have to be the best. Yeah.
I love that. A round of applause. So he journals, keeps his faith alive, and then work with the best. Greetings to you. If you know the best recording label as an artist, the best film industry as a filmmaker, but you don't even know how much they charge. Greetings. All right, Moji Shortbaba, ladies and gentlemen. Come on. I feel like speaking Luganda is now like your favorite thing. So I'll give you a minute. Any word, it's Tawa. Any word in Luganda that you want? All right. So one of the things that I admire most about you is how you're a family man. Friends, Moji will not take 2 minutes without talking about his wife on his socials. If you follow him, you know. And his wife the same. You know, he really talks about it. So Moji, both you and your wife are in the limelight, yeah? So with the lights and the attention and all these things, how do you stay grounded and keep family a priority?
Hey, this guy is being asked about. I'm being asked about family. That's crazy. I was already with another. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm not as deep as this guy here. This guy is so. Yeah. It's Musei. Musei. First of all, hi everybody. Hi everybody. I'm so happy to be here with creatives, and this is a privilege, honestly, to be here with Pompi and Bob and Teresa. Thank you so much. Um, for me and my wife, we met. She's an event organizer. She does events. That's how we met. She was organizing an event, and I was an artist performing there. So I was like, hey, it's a beautiful girl. Out of my league though. I don't speak that much English. So I said hi and we did the event. So, but we later connected at church. So how we stay grounded is apart from social media, like we have accountability partners. We go to the same church. We have the same pastor and all this. And before we went online, we actually dated for 2 years. So we dated for 2 years. We went online when I engaged her. That's when we went online. So we had been with each other and tolerated each other and been together and dated for 2 years. So even what you see online it was a decision we made after we had dated for 2 years. So we were not so quick to do it. So how we stay grounded is that we have our friend circle, we have our community. Community is very important, especially if you are an artist, because now you can think you have many friends, but not everybody you can let into your circle to know your struggles and everything. So being in church, having the same pastor, having a community of friends. I don't know if you guys know Ben Psycho and his wife. Joyride Podcast, those are some of our friends. So I think that's really it. That keeps us grounded. And of course, before we even started dating, we made sure that there's some main things, there's some non-negotiables between me and her. So, and once we agreed on that, by the time we're going online, the foundation is already stable. So basically that's it. Don't know that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a good, hey, a round of applause. What do you mean? You know, dating for 2 years without a camera. Uganda, my guy. Anyway. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, for the first time ever in Uganda, Theres Phondo, all the way from Malawi. And here's the thing that caught my attention. Again, the only way I can, tie on new people, the people on this panel, is through social media. So I will allude to that as a lot. So one of the things that caught my attention is Teresa invited 10 people to church. Like, went on her socials and said, hi, I'm Teresa. She's a celeb, has all these followers, and said, come with me to church this Sunday. Arranged, I think, transport for them. And guess how many people showed up? 30 people showed up and went to church. Yes, that deserves a round of applause. And I am very sure in those 30, there's some that said yes to Jesus for the first time. And that is very commendable. Now, what is the place of ministry in your life, and what does that look like? By ministry, I don't mean serving in church. I mean serving God. What's the place of ministry in your life?
Wow. Hello, everyone. It's so lovely to be here, and what an honor it is to be on this panel session. Yeah, I really love God. I always tell my testimony where I'm coming from. I used to party, drink, and I was just in that lifestyle. And then I got into a car accident because we were all drunk. And when I woke up in hospital, I said, I don't want this life. I don't want to die young. I want to serve God. Because I always had a love for God, but I was just living for myself. So when the accident happened, I was like, this is a wake-up call, and I think I don't want to be like this in my life. And so I gave my life to Jesus, or I dedicated my life and committed my life fully to him, and he's been transforming me since. So this was in 2014, before I met my lovely husband. Yeah, so I'm just gonna give you context, so bear with me. So 2014, that year, I think God isolated me and separated me so that I know who I am, I know who he is, I learn about what he wants to do with my life, because I believe we all have a purpose. There's a reason why you're here. There's a mission that he has placed you with. And so that whole year, because I was injured, I was not going to school. It was just me and home and the Bible and prayer and God for like a whole year, fasting and praying and just immersing myself into the Word. And that's when I would receive, a word of prophecy that, okay, I'm seeing you singing, I'm seeing you on TV, I'm seeing all of this that really came to pass. So I think with that understanding, I know that, okay, God wants to use my life to minister to people, even to the same people that went through what I went through, because I understand the mindset, I understand where they're coming from, and I can easily know how to reach them. So I am somebody that's very passionate about bringing people to Christ. I think that's the main thing that God wants us to do. We are called ministers of reconciliation. So evangelism is a big deal for me. So I would tell people about Jesus occasionally, but I thought that, okay, now that I'm singing, how can I best bring more people to church? Like, what can I do? So I'm part of like online ministries. Like, I'm part of a church together with my husband. We go to a church, we pray together with the children. But I'm also part of an online prayer ministry. It is founded by a certain lady from Zambia. So anyone can join, like wherever you're from. And we pray several times in a day, like for an hour each time, like 5 times a day. And so I joined that prayer platform in about, when was this? 2023 or 2022. And I've been with them since then. And I would lead prayers. I would also lead the youth prayers. And so I saw my spiritual life grow tremendously from that period. And I was just like, okay, so now what's next? What can I do? I want to do physical meetings. I want to do more things. So I sat down with my husband and we're like, okay. And even in our church, we have a campaign, Bring 12. We had it last year where we're supposed to bring a person to church each month, like one person each month. Then our pastor said, no, I'm making you guys lazy. You can bring more than one person in a month. So I was like, yeah, that's a really good idea. My husband was like, let's be bringing people to church. And I said, yeah, that I would love to do that. And so we've made that campaign like a monthly thing. We started last month. When I go back home, I'll ask again on my socials who wants to come with me. We just want to be I want to do it for as long as I can, maybe for a year, every month, just bringing so many people. Amen. Because I feel like if God has given you a platform, it's for a reason. It's for you to reach as many people as you can. I'm also planning on starting prayer picnics with Teresa, where occasionally 3 times in a year we just meet and pray, because I'm very passionate about prayer, where we can just sit down and I just meet young girls. I get so many DMs asking me, how did you overcome drinking? How did you overcome this? What should I do? And so I want to have that physical meetings where I can meet with young ladies and just help them in their journey. And so for me, ministry is go out into the world and go. What is your field? Are you a musician? Okay, whatever field you're in, God has equipped you with the grace, because He has given us like pastors and evangelists and teachers for the equipping of the saints, because we are the ones who interface with the people. So they're equipping us so that when we interface with the people, we bring them to Christ, we disciple them. So it's also important to be, as Pompi always says, to be very discipled, so that you're strong, you're able to stand, and you're also able to make other disciples. So for me, that's very important. The music is like bait, just hooking people to, making good music, praising Jesus, worshiping Jesus, but also really bringing people to Christ.
Love that. Love that. And but today's DJ, a round of applause for him, because wow. Okay. Anyway, what Teresa says reminds me of that scripture that says, whether you eat or drink, do it all for the glory of God. So ideally, even your gifting should be leading you to Christ and leading others to Christ. Love that. So ladies and gentlemen, finally to hear from my husband, Theres Phondo's husband, but also manager, Bob Pondo. A round of applause for him. Come on. We here in Uganda, we like to say we love love. We love it very much, so we love to say it. But anyway, so as a manager, Bob, the truth is, it can be exhausting. It can be exhausting to have a dream, want to honor God, and then make money. Am I right? It can be so exhausting to want to do all three. So how do I place myself as an artist, as a creative, to be able to balance all three areas?
Thank you. Hi, guys. Good to see Ru there. I've known Ru for a long time. I've known Ru and Pompi longer than I've known my wife. Yeah, because I've known them for over a decade. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm happy to be here. I've been in touch with Uganda for the longest because I used to manage Limo Blaze. I managed Limo Blaze to the day he signed with Lacrae. I used to manage.
We are not going to let that slip, please. What? What?
I used to manage another artist who came here as well, Remas. Yeah, yeah. So I've been in touch with, even with, Alive in the Park when Remas came and stuff. So I'm glad to be here. Thank you for the question. I'll just say it from my experience. I've been with artists from the time when they don't make money to the time they make money. It has helped me managing her well because by the time I was managing Limo Blaze, we were just like passionate young guys. Yeah, money came 4 years later. And actually, good money came by the time we were parting ways, so I didn't enjoy the fruits of my labor. Yeah, so but when I met her, I was like, we gotta make the money.
Come on.
So what we did though, so that the money doesn't influence what she does, we kind of separated the two. This is where I come in now. I come in to handle the business side so that she can focus more on the ministry side. And I think that should be one of the main reasons why you should have someone like a manager. So they are just thinking business. Your music should not think about how many people I'm going to entertain during a show so that I can get more money and all that stuff. You focus on your thing. And then your manager should sit here like, how am I going to increase this guy's numbers? Where are we going to go from here? How can we get corporate deals? That's your manager's thinking, not you like that. So we kind of like separated the two. So when I'm coming to her, I go on this side and develop the strategy on how we should move because I understand her brand and where she wants to go. And then I present to her, so I have in mind, this is what we're going to do to sustain this career. So now, I believe that an artist is like a startup, and that's how you should like see yourself when you think of from a business point of view. Like you are like a startup, yeah? Yeah, so you need some structures, So at the beginning, obviously when you're starting a company, you only need maybe an accountant and an administrative person because you can't afford the other operations and sales. But sales are gonna come because you start putting out products, music, you do merch, you do events. So eventually you need people that like helps you to sell. So that's how now you build based on the need and where you're at the moment. The first step for an artist is not really to have a manager or to have someone like me in your corner. Is to have some guy that believes in you so much they can do anything. That's help you with social media most importantly. Actually, you need an content creator more than you need someone like me at the beginning. Yeah, because the content creator guy is going to help you to build value. That value is going to attract money. That's why you need some guy that's going to multiply that money. Because a manager has to manage something, and you don't have anything to manage. Whoa. You understand?
DJ, this is the part where you do that thing.
Yeah, because the manager has to manage the infrastructure, yeah? Has to build structures, but you have no structures at all, and you don't need them at that time. Yeah, and it's okay because it's a phase, yeah. Let's say with her when we started, just marrying with what Pompi was saying. Because when she started her music, she wanted to do she was doing music that's more because she was coming from a band, so she wanted to do stuff for the country, and I'm like, I'm not like that. I work with Limo Blaze. So I work at a global level, My friends are like the truth, show like you want me to go to a long, you understand? I'm like, yeah. You guys yeah. I know Ru, I can call Ru and be like, yo, I need a feature. Like, why should I be like, yeah, Victor, New G is my friend. I'll be like, I want you to play a song. You cannot be playing your local dances that you're doing here. So When you're ready to go global, hit me up. So she was doing her stuff, and I'm like, when you're serious, because that time I was working for other artists. I'm like, well, no, we're not doing that. So when you're ready, so when she came and said we could, we're like, yeah, let's do this. So that's when, like in closing, that's when our first product, it was global minded from the get-go. We hired an Airbnb in Nigeria. We hired one of the best T-Babs, remote places producer, to produce one of our first international records. That's where Blessings came from. Yeah, and Lemas was in that Airbnb as well, and another lady that does the hook in that song. Okay. We're not leaving this Airbnb until we do at least 2 crazy records. So we were working digitally. We are in Malawi, then Nigeria. That's when we produced Blessings and another song called Savior. And then we took that and then be like, okay, when people make a dope song like this, where do they take it? So and because I've been in the space by working with Limo, it was about taking that thing to the global space, to global partners and, like radio people, sending it here, Kenya, Uganda, and everything. And on its own, because we gave it what Pompi said, we brought in the best, the producers and the people we worked with, and then we approached the best people that knows how to take music to another level, and then we let the song fly. And then it flew. As we speak now, it has over 400,000 reels on Instagram. So that came from the principle Pompi was talking about. And that built value, and we used that value, we took it home. Like, what's happening outside the world, what she's doing, and then Malawians were now more interested. So we didn't need to do some local, in order to get that. Okay? We just had like a global mindset from the get-go, but we started small. And then as she grew, we started now bringing up those structures. And then that's when I became a proper manager, because there was like, yeah, yeah, that's when now the value was there, then that's when money started to come in. Yeah, and that money now manages what she does. We pay, we spend a lot just for her to get on stage. We hire videographers. Every time she gets a booking, there's a videographer booked, there's a photographer booked, like the whole band, this road manager that's supposed to be paid, like the whole team. But it didn't start like that from the get-go. As you get bigger and as you grow, and then there's that infrastructure, so that she doesn't have to think about those things. She can just come from her prayer closet, go on stage, meet people, minister, and come back in her cocoon. We deal with the troubles. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I normally say it can't be a Christian gathering and we don't do this thing. So tell your neighbor, or in a content creator, do you have a content creator? All right. You're the content creator. Okay. Okay. All right. Do I have your attention? Let's all snap. All right. So we're going to open it up to your questions, and I'm sure there's a truckload. So I'm going to ask for your help, John. There's a mic over here. So we have questions for Bob Phondo. We have questions for Theres Phondo, for Moji Shortbaba, for Pompi, and in case you have a question for MTN through Mavis, you're ready to. So we'll start right here from Mr. Roo. First of all, clap for Roo, guys. Come on, come on. Yes, sir.
Having done management before, like you've touched on one thing that when you started doing management, like over 10 years ago, right? We're not talking about content creators. But now, that's the first thing you tell someone instead of getting a manager or getting if you could just mention one other thing that's different from before that someone would need that they wouldn't initially need now. Teresa, the question I'm going to ask you is, you're famous online through your husband for talking about how you really were there in the foundational process when he didn't have anything. And you supported him and you built him up, which is something you don't see anywhere as often. Like, what I mean by that is most people, from what we understand, when a lady looks at the guy, do you have security, do you have these things if we're going to go forward in, and you were actually there in the initial part of that.
Justice for women, guys.
It's not a bad thing. I mean, the guy is supposed to provide. So I just wanted to ask which actually brings me to the questions I'm asking. Number one, what did you see in him that made you feel like you could go with him the distance like that and you saw the future? And number two, is there anything that about him that made it easier for you to do that? Right? Those are the two questions. Justice for women. Pompi, I'm going to ask a similar question to Bob. Because of your longevity, you have, I'm very sure that there's a Christian element, a spiritual element that you've really, but when we first saw you blow up quite a while back when she was still trying to dance, and up to now, you have consistently built and expanded your brand, and we've seen that growth. We don't even have to be in Zambia. We've seen that growth. So I have a few questions for you. One being, what has allowed you to increase like that, but still maintain that thing about you, putting God first and everything? Second thing is, what is the difference? What is like a critical difference between building your business in ministry back then and now as you have grown in what you're doing? And the third one is, this is the third question I have. You're dumped in the middle of Uganda and you have to, and God tells you, we're going to skip the spiritual stuff. God tells you, start a record label. What are and everything has been taken away and you're going to start from scratch. From your experience, and you're going to do that label in Uganda from your experience, with everything you know, what are the first 5 things that you would do as a foundation for that label?
Wonderful. And I think we'll start with Bob so that the question doesn't get out of your head. Bob, Teresa, Pompi, in that order.
First and foremost, the way the audience consume knowledge and consume information back then and now has changed. Yeah? An artist thrives when it comes to telling their story. So you build fan base by telling a story because people have to follow what you're doing. You need to be someone that people are connecting with. So they connect when they connect to your story. The only way now to tell your story, because that time you guys just only used to depend on the music itself. Yeah, so your music will tell your story. But now you show your life. You talk, like you tweet, you know what you have so many things going on and you're living in in this era of information. So in order to tell your story, you may not be so good at social media. So you need to find someone that's good at it. Yeah, that's the most important person for now when you're starting. Yeah, and then everything else is going to, like I'm saying, when you're starting a company, you know that at the beginning we have this product. Yeah, this product, if we sell up to this level, we're making these sales or making this money, we're gonna grow to this, like with that whole 5-year plan and stuff like that. So at what point do you now need to bring sales guys, operations guys, all these things into the mix, apart from just having the administrator and at what point when you're going to need a lawyer, when you start doing these deals and all stuff. So even music speaks to you like that. But at the beginning, for you to tell your story, you need to, that's the most important thing. So for example, there's a young artist here, yeah? People might not be interested in what you do, but if you are persistent at telling that story, because there are not many people that are doing that consistently, anywhere, but if you're really, because you're telling your story, like how you write your music, how you're creating the music, why you're creating that music, the church you go to, what drives you, but you find ways of, that's why you need to partner with someone that knows how to tell stories digitally, and then people will start following because there's a bunch of people that connect you to that. Like you'll find your tribe. That's the most important thing. Now, the moment the music is moving, you have, by the grace of God, you have a song that's doing well, you start to get booked. You can handle the first ones. Actually, one thing that you can do is you set up a quote-unquote atmosphere of your own, like a business. And then when people hit you up, you say, okay, let me talk to my management. You don't even have a manager. You get it? And then you send an invoice from that account to your atmosphere. And then you send whatever manager. Yet it's you. Because you look serious. They start to, you understand? Yeah. Until you have the person. That's at the beginning. You get it? Now, when those bookings and those things start to come consistently, you need someone to sit there because they need to negotiate better. Because people can be handy. We struggle more with church bookings than corporate bookings. Yeah, just to convince church to give you millions is really difficult. Yeah. So she cannot say no to church people. I can. I mean, she needs to travel 300 kilometers. Okay, 3-star hotel. She cannot say that. I can. Because if you leave the church to their own, they'll put you in, where there's bed bugs and stuff like that. You know, like you get
Justice for the church.
you understand, like. So you need a guy now that's gonna know how to have those conversations. That's the next guy. So that guy can grow with you to be a manager. Yeah, because to get a full-blown manager, guys, it's not easy, and they're not gonna like you because you're not making money. You're wasting their time. Yeah, so they're not gonna give their all to you, and you don't need that. You're gonna get a guy with 4 connections, but they don't have time for you because you're not making any money. And you need to understand your 20% is not money to someone, especially at the beginning. Yeah. But if you're like really making good money, you're bringing in the guy will come to MTN and strike a deal for you. That's the time you need some guy that's gonna give you like that type of value. But at the beginning, and then this guy that's handling some things for you, they start to learn the music business. Like you get it? Yeah, because there are certain basic music business you need to understand: loyalties, distribution stuff, marketing, partnerships, relationships, how to build, radio, TV, PR, like stuff like that. Set up a band, all that stuff. Those are like basics. As an artist, you need to know those things on your own. You don't need like master classes. You can literally ask ChatGPT. You can give you the whole 1-year plan on how to be an artist from January to December. If you don't know that stuff, you're not ready to be an artist. Let's be for real. Yeah. So that guy is not coming to replace those things for you. You need to know them yourself. That guy is just helping you so you focus on the music. Yeah. So you're a content guy, and then when the emails are now coming more and the phone calls, you get another guy. That's helping you to look like you're, you're worth the money. Right? Yeah. So that's the next guy. Yeah, and then later on as you grow, now you find a lawyer friend that's helped you, like when the contract comes, they can read for you, you get it. And, you build. And then you come back to the atmosphere that you set up. It might be the time now to actually make it a proper company. Yeah, where the guys now, actually you have like a guy that runs it, like Dan handles for, shout out to Dan at the back there, handles for atmosphere. You see? Dan is the guy handles atmosphere, and Pompi doesn't have to worry about those things. Yeah, so but it'll tell you, the music will tell you when they keep coming, contracts, bookings, they'll tell you who to bring now. Yeah.
Wonderful. A round of applause for Bob. Then over to you, Teresa. What did you see?
What did I see? So I really rely on God for like major steps, right? And I think in everything that happened, every big event that happened in my life, like a word of God came to me, like through someone, So for my husband, I knew that by the time he mentioned that I was in a band, Zatu band, that was 2016. I got into this band. So now I've been born again like for 2 years. Remember, I had a car accident, so in 2014, now I'm committed to God. Then in 2016, this blessing comes. I'm in Zatu and we're touring Malawi. We're touring across the world. We're singing, we're dancing. And I'm praying. I said, God, now I need my husband. I'm praying. And one day, some man of God said, don't be desperate. Relax. God will bring you. The Holy Spirit is the one that connects you to your mate. He will bring. Relax. I said, okay, fine. I waited, so nothing's happening. I went to my pastor. Then I said, Pastor, I want to get married. And I'm not seeing any, a visionary man coming. Please, can you pray to God and maybe he hears you more? Then, he laughed at me. He's like, how old are you? I said, I'm 22. He's like, that's so young. I was like, well, I want my husband. Then he said, anyway, he pointed me to someone. He said, you see that guy over there? I said, yeah. He's like, he has nothing. People can laugh at him. But that man has a very hardworking spirit. He does business. He tries. That man, in 4 or 5 years, he'll be something. But people cannot see that now. But because I see the hardworking spirit in him, there's a visionary in this man. So keep your eyes open for the diamond in the dust. That's what he told me. I said, ha, hey. And then he said, when you find him, bring him to me. I want to see him. I said, okay. Lo and behold, my husband was in some other nation, I think in Zambia or South Africa then, and he kept feeling like he should come back home to Malawi. 2 months later, he came back home. Now, as he was coming, he's seeing us on posters. He's saying, there's this band. He sees me. He starts telling another person in the band that, that woman is my wife, And now, this guy in the band is telling me, you know some guy called Bob Pondo? I was like, yeah, I know. He's managing stuff with some big rapper in my country, I know. Yeah, he's saying that you're his wife. I said, hey, I've never even met him. The guy was just claiming, you know. I said, so I was a little offended because how do you claim someone? But I said, okay, whatever. Now he's in the country. So he was managing the building where we were rehearsing as a band. And so I ended up meeting him. And I knew he was interested, and my friends were like, do you know what this man can do to your career? You need to marry him. And I said, I haven't even spoken to him. What do you mean I should marry him? But anyway, I said, I'll give him a chance. I'll sit with him. We'll talk about everything just to see how he thinks. And we talked. We talked about God, about politics, about business. I said, hey, this is a man, huh? I was so excited because it was my first time meeting somebody with like a whole man that can lead you, has vision, has a hardworking spirit. And I can see that he has just come back home from Zambia. So he's building from scratch. So he has nothing. But that wasn't my concern because to me it was, I want to marry right. And marrying right is not marrying money or marrying whatever. You marry a spirit. Is that spirit compatible with me and with the vision God has placed for me? So ladies, I'm not saying do what I did because that was a word God spoke to me. I should keep my eyes open for the diamond in the dust, and here's my diamond. Hallelujah.
Vanang, tell your neighbor Olina vision. Eh? Excuse me. Anyway, over to you, Pompi.
Awesome.
Okay, we're snapping, we're back. Okay, let's continue.
I don't know if I came to bless or to be blessed. It's very, very amazing. You guys are getting amazing content. I love what's being shared. But in regards to Ruyonga, thanks for those questions. Intellectuals, bro. You're just asking these intellectual questions. Let me give some background. So, first of all, I'm not a musician because I wanted to be a musician. I'm a musician because I was obedient. So that's a side of my testimony, which a lot of people don't know. I was more an academic. I went to school. I did honors. I had a business honors degree in business systems, and I thought I'm going to take the corporate route after graduation. But obviously, when I got born again, it was out of instruction that God told me, I want you to sing for me, which I did not like at all. Yeah, that music was for girls. No. No. But the industry in Zambia, when I started, there was no industry. There was absolutely no industry. And I really, where you are even questioning, like, God, is this really you? You know what I mean? Because like, I don't wanna die of hunger. Like this place is, I fought for let me say almost a year after having a clear instruction. I kept on fighting. I would have so many things in my spirit I was fighting. One of them, let me share, was actually funny enough, similar to what Teresa was sharing. So I used to imagine, because I obviously like imagining the future. So one of the things I used to imagine is that, I'm going to I want to get married, and then now I'm meeting this woman's parents, and they're asking, young man, what do you do? And I couldn't bring myself to the place where I said, I should say I'm a musician. No, you know. But you know, I was obedient to it. Obedience doesn't always. I won't lie to you. I think I'm a testimony of somebody who was obedient but not happy about it. If you caught me in my obedience, of course, now I'm seeing what God intended for me in the obedience. But at the time, I'll be very honest, I had no idea where I was going. Like, I had no idea what was in store for me. As in, literally, there was no, our industry, to put context to it, you couldn't, it was almost impossible to sustain yourself. Especially in the gospel, like, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so it was very, very difficult. But obviously, I was obedient to it and just did what God had asked me to do. And the first album that I had done was Miju. Now, yeah.
Somebody say rap if you want him to sing it on Friday.
So now Miju, you know when the Bible says that, you know, God will show you a new thing, things that you've never seen, no eye has ever seen, no ear has ever heard. I have seen that out of obedience, because suddenly people never used to buy CDs. The Miju album was the highest selling CD for about a year in Zambia. Yeah, so much, so much happened after that, and a lot of things which I used to think there was not a lot of support, sponsorship. There was no influencer deals then. I was one of the first ones to get an influencer deal, and imagine one of your first influencer deals to be a Standard Chartered bank, you know. So all these dynamics started happening, and somebody at the time would have thought that, and a lot of people tell me this, like, Pompi, like, you guys are so strategic. I like how you did this, and you did this because of this, and they're explaining, and I'm thinking, like, hey, whenever I try to strategize for myself, because later now you're thinking, hey, I'm a G now, like, okay, now the money is there, so then now you now start making your own. Now I went through a phase now where God started to teach me that, look, um, don't lose the moments where you listen to my voice, and you listen to my direction. And obviously I experienced loss in those moments, because now you're thinking, okay, let me make a strategy. I want to do all sorts of things. But also I'll attribute it to really submitting to different graces. So I believe in hiring your weaknesses. I believe in hiring your weaknesses. Sometimes, and I honestly believe in honest dialogue. Sometimes people are offended by honest opinions. I look for people with an honest opinion. Literally, they are very difficult to find. Yeah, they are very difficult to find. But for me, I want to surround myself with those kind of people. Why? Is because they help you not to make a mistake. Like you watch idols all the time, and you see this guy coming with confidence, with the wooden mic, that wooden mic section of the idols. And you wonder, like, did these people did this person have someone who loves them to tell them, like, guy, you stop it. Can you stop it? you know? So I always thought, like, I don't want to be that guy. So I like surrounding myself with people who, I call my dad, I call my dad my chief hater. Because my dad will listen to a song and be like, this is not music. It's not music. This you are playing. And even like my pastor, some people are offended. Artists have approached them and, like, they go out like offended, like, man, this guy said, like, all sorts of things. For me, I'll take it on the chin and I'll be like, okay, so if this person thinks this way, if we are to use a data set, this person might represent 3 million people. It's better I sort this out. If this one person has this opinion, it's possible that there might be millions of other people who have this opinion. So let me work on this thing so that people like him don't have that opinion. In regards to styling, anyway, I'll take you to the word in regards to like the old wineskins and new wineskins, right? So it's even in ministry, like the new wineskin representing the expansion or a capacity to take in new information and evolve. But sometimes you can find yourself in tradition and religion, sort of like Moses being told to strike the rock and then the second time being told to speak to the rock. And he made a religion out of striking the rock and expected this, obviously. So sometimes in our own spaces, we find ourselves trying to use old formulas to achieve. So I got to a place where I started to recognize that, look, I may be getting older. Like the slang that my nephews and them use is completely different. I just learned a few weeks ago, goosies. Like, oh, goosies. You know what that is? So like when something is cool, like you get goosebumps. Ah, goosies. I'm like, what is that? Yes. Yeah, like I had no idea, you know. So like I always like to work with people so that and I get so much feedback. I like to collect that feedback, even from the youngest. Like I think children are amazing judges. Also, why is because children are not sold by propaganda. You know, children are pure. So usually, if they like a song, if children like a song, then you know. So I learn from anyone, and I think that's. I'll give an example of Greater, the music video. I was sharing it at Power FM this morning. So the team told me, no, you need to get a new stylist. I'm like, okay, cool, bring a new stylist. Now this guy came and dressed, you know, this baggy, I guess it's the new trend, sort of like Bob's pants, but those ones are even like a bit smaller, right? This like limo blade, but even bigger than limo blade, you know? So like for me, when he dressed me, I literally wore the outfit. You can ask Don, and I was like, bro, who sent you? Like you're mad. You're mad. I'm not gonna wear this. You know, so the whole team like, no, it looks good. Like, no. I'm like, guys, bro, I've worked hard to come to where I am. Like, I don't want, you know. But they were like, no, it looks good. So I really submitted. And I just said, okay. After the video came out, my nephew has never really commented on my styling or my dressing. He just always thought like I'm getting old. For the first time, he said, Uncle, like you look so cool, like you look swagged out, you know? And I was like, oh, like, and that's like his favorite video ever. So I guess just that openness to collect people's opinion, even in business, like I feel it's very important to just get feedback and respond to it. So even in comments, I read a lot of comments and just see if there's feedback. Sometimes it looks negative, but I try and see if I can work with that information and convert it into something positive. Yeah. Yeah.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay, so we'll take the microphone to El Shaddai. I think you had a question. And then, Tuja. All I can say is we're here for you, please. So you can ask. Yes, sir.
Mama, now this song today, I don't come to ask for money. I don't come to ask for anything else.
Take.
I come to pray.
Oh, thank you so much. I will keep my questions so brief because majority of them have really been answered. Well, I have like two of them. One will definitely go to Mr. Bob. You want to hold for me? Thank you. It's giving several vibes, yeah? Sure. My first question will go to Mr. Bob. You know, here in Uganda, when you start conversations about finances and ministry, then you
Colleague.
have fallen. You've fallen. Obo good day. You understand? Backstreet. Under what circumstances can finances then come into a ministry, and then without being offensive to people? Our pastors here hold crusades, words, invite artists, and for them, what is in their mind is like freely given, freely give. You understand? So I want you to speak to that. And maybe the other question would be what happens between the time of investment, time of waiting for results, and then also you're becoming burnt out and also losing on resources. Yet the returns have not really, come out very well. And then lastly, this question will go to Moji. We've had a very huge debate here in Uganda about fellow gospel artists being seen performing in circular spaces, bars, and very many of them have really come out to give valid reasons. Some of them we've bought, but also the backlash has really been so much high on them. So we really want to understand, have you gone wrong? Is it a sin for an artist to take their creative work to such spaces? Because who will tell them if no one goes to them? You understand? So let me reserve the rest of the questions for Bana and Wek. They will answer them.
All right, so we'll answer those two and then we'll come to you and Miss Afri. So, Bob, over to you.
Thank you so much. Finances and ministry. Like I've said, our biggest challenge is to discuss with the church when it comes to bookings. And I've no beef with the church. I love the church. What I do when they call for her to go and minister at the church. So when it comes to churches, there are two things. There are those that are genuine, they might not afford our rate, even the rate that you have set for churches. It's genuine. You can even hear it, and they're giving you context, you're having the conversation. So sometimes when I'm speaking with her about such situations, we look into it and also hear what God has to say. And most of the times, like recently, we did a certain event where we didn't take anything, and it doesn't happen all the time. It was for that particular person. And then there are some that just don't respect artists. Yeah, you see the same. They don't respect their own praise team. You know, like yeah. They cannot put them on a payroll. They expect them to come church every day. They don't know how they come there. So they don't respect their own. That so they might have 10 million to work with, but they feel like giving it 500,000. It's like they can afford it. It just doesn't respect you, and you can hear that from. So that we don't, so we design those things. But then there are those that they don't, it's not like they disrespect you, but they just know well-versed in how the music business works. So now when I'm speaking with those, I give context. So let's say someone calls and says, yo, we need Teresa to come and minister at this event. So okay, where is this event? Oh, 200 kilometers from here. I'm like, okay, so here's the thing. So what kind of like ministration are you looking for? She comes with a band, like the way she did that place. I'm like, okay, nice. So okay, so that event, we rehearsed 4 times. So we book a venue for rehearsal at this budget for 4 days. We don't have a rehearsal space, so we book for 4 days. And then we have like a band instrumentalists that are like, the core ones are 3. So each one gets this transport allowance every day to go to the rehearsal and back. And then we pay them this much. Because we are the ones doing the ministry. They are doing them is a service. So their rate doesn't change. It doesn't matter how we charge. So this is what they charge. And then when we are coming, then we have this backing vocalist. So our whole team is like 7, 8 of us. So when you are coming there, you say 200 kilometers, that means your event is at night. they have to sleep. So there is a whole thing. So I give them the whole, yeah. And then with her, like, okay, when she comes there, we need to do like this makeup things that we do, like there's all these things that we do that cost, and this is what it will take. That it will cost us, which we do not have that budget allocated sitting somewhere for. You get it? So the conversation starts from there before we even touch how much you go home with. Yeah. So we do that when we, because you have to discern in the conversation. Like, okay, where is this person? There's the one that I genuinely, they cannot afford it, but they really want the administration of this artist. But you can tell they respect this artist, they honor this artist, and then this one, they disrespect artists generally, and then this one, they just don't know how it works. Yeah, so you educate them. So next time when they book another artist, they now know. Yeah. You get it? So it's not everyone that's going to complain, why are you charging? It's ministry, like, because doctrines are different. Other people understand that it costs so much money just for an artist to step on stage. Like for Pompi to step on stage, like there's so many people that needs to be paid. It's not even about what he's going to go home with. Like there's so much. And then how many millions he has put in his stuff to get your attention to bring him to your church. You understand? Like they don't respect all that. So we educate. That's another role that we play. That's why she has someone like a business person who has to that's my role. So my role when I'm dealing with pastors, event organizers in church is to educate them. Like, you can't be doing this. It's abuse. You get it? Yeah. If you bring people all the way from another district, you don't think where they're going to sleep, how the other people are going to be paid, how everything's going to go, and you don't care about that, that's not also Christ-like. Yeah. Because you yourself, you get paid. Every month, people bring all these food packs to your house. Like all these things. When you go speak somewhere, there's honorarium. Without that, you're not going to speak. You get it? Like, let's be honest. Yeah. You get it? Let's be honest. Yeah. So, and we just can't box every artist the same way. For example, Pompi preaches at his church. He's not the same like any other artist. So why do you think that he's like any other guy that you know as an artist who is your neighbor? You get it? He works in a pastoral ministry. So why don't you give him the same honor? You get it. When you're going somewhere to speak, you demand a business class. Why is it so weird for Pompi to, you get it? Like, I understand, but like, we need to have those conversations. It's not black and white. Say, no, because you're a gospel artist, you can't charge. No, let's have conversations. And if you're not open to have a conversation, there's something wrong. It's okay to have an opposing view, but your opposing view, you should be open to be to grow, to be challenged, to have new information and make decisions better. You get it? Yeah, like what he was saying. So it's also our job. It's not just to bash those social media things like what was happening in Nigeria. You can't charge. We need to have honest conversations. Yeah, and we need to understand each other. Her core and Pompi's core is not the same. So they cannot move the same way. Her convictions and his convictions are not the same. So they cannot move the same way, but you cannot treat them the same way. So you need to have conversations with her, and then they will be unique to her. So if today she decides she's not going to charge anymore, you can't take that to Pompi. You get it? Yeah, it's not generalized. Same way with pastors. They don't move the same way. One pastor takes honorarium, one other pastor is like, no, when I come, I just want to teach. One pastor demands a private jet, another one, I can take economy. You get it? Like, we don't treat them the same way. So I think it's also our job as creative to have this conversation and to be honest about it. Don't be afraid to talk about money, guys. It's a good conversation to have.
Yeah.
Because you're going to burn out, you're going to be angry, you're going to resent the church. When it's your role also to educate your pastor. I'll give you one example in conclusion. When I joined the church that we go to, I saw the branding was terrible. I went to the pastor, I'm like, you are a global speaker. You cannot have this terrible branding. But I was not going there to criticize him. I was like, because God has allowed me to see that, I'm going to help with that. Yeah, so my job is, but I'm like, for me to do that, I don't design, but I know how to tell an artist's story. I'll help. Limo Blaze, he was he wasn't even a Lagos guy. From that college, whatever town he was, to where he was, he became a global star. You understand? I worked with her. So I was like, if I can work with an artist, I can work with my past. Let's do this thing. So I've never worked with a past, but I don't design, I don't do all that stuff. But I was like, I know guys that design, I know guys that do visual content, but you need to put them on the side. You need to buy them, both of them, each one a laptop, both of them a phone, both of them on a side. They're not going to show up here as people that save. They're going to come here to work and they'll change your branding. And with that information, when you spread it around, now you are reaching how many? 10,000 people? You start reaching 100,000 of people. And that will contribute to how many souls you bring into the kingdom. You get it? It was a conversation and he understood. And that's our role. We don't just sit there and tweet. No, we can't mix money and bruh. You get it? Yeah.
Wonderful.
I think I would just like to add to that, and it's the very, very, very great contributions I think that have come from him. I'll also share a hack that we, and like I said, when I said we share the same struggles, I mean, that's where, also when coming up as a gospel artist, I had to struggle with that as well. But there's something that we created. It was called the ministry form. So when the ministry calls us, they fill in what's called a ministry form. Now, on this ministry form, there's obviously the technical rider, which is obviously telling them that, look, this is the equipment we need. There's the hospitality rider, like Bob was also saying, like, look, we need it's not luxurious, we just need white bed sheets, and we need there are certain, so just to summarize, we just say 3-star, but essentially it's not extravagant. But the aspect I want to highlight is the one where we say, look, according to how you are compelled, the Spirit compels you. You fill in the form on the amount which you are looking to give us. And we don't we expect anyone to fill that form except the pastor of the church. Now, what that does is that there are certain figures, they wouldn't want to put their name by that figure. You have to use wisdom. They wouldn't put their name by that figure. So when they put their name there, suddenly the figures were completely different. And I've shared this with a lot of other Zambian gospel artists. So like Bob is saying, it's just to have the conversation and use wisdom and how you can,
Wonderful. I feel like we should have had a pastor on this panel because... All right, so Moji, secular artists, rather Christian artists performing in secular environments.
Well, that's a tough one, but let me tell you a story. So I was part of a group called Kelele Takatifu, and our first big song was called Itakuangori. Yeah, and that song was, it was a club banger in Kenya. It wasn't just a church banger, it was a club banger. And so we started getting invited to like bar restaurants, full-on clubs. In fact, yesterday I was telling a story on NRG. There's one club we went to, and a lady came on stage. She was overwhelmed by the Spirit of God. And we had to run for our lives. But so I have been in those situations where I have been in secular spaces because of the nature of my music and because Kenyans love gospel music. So because Kenyans love gospel music, they dance to gospel music anywhere. They can be drunk, they can be whatever. They say, I love God. And so there's no differentiation. So they want Moji Shortbaba, they'd be like, you stay gospel and pray for us. That's why even Kenyans get more disappointed when a gospel artist flips. Because Kenyans want you to stay gospel and we stay on this side so that you can preach to our kids. And yeah, it's true. And so I've had moments, performed in very popular clubs, and that has happened in bar and restaurants across the country. Now here's what the Bible talks about us being sent to the lost, right? So I think that's what really makes me go to those places, because I'm like, I've been sent to the lost, but I'm there to evangelize and to do this music. They know I'm a gospel artist. So I remember there's a club I went to and I actually led an altar call and prayed for people. It's a popular club in the city. It got closed. I think some Christians were praying around it, so it fell. But
a win is a win.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. But I went there and these guys, I don't know if you guys know William Tuva, he had a gig there. And went there and I led people to Christ and I prayed. And so we've done these things, we've gone to the lost. But here's what, there's a part of being sent to the lost, and there's a part of Psalms 1 where we should not sit with the ungodly, we should not whatever. So I remember there's this club we used to go to and launch new music. We'd go there, but after a while, you'd find a gospel artist there, and he has no new song. You're like, bro, what are you doing here? Like, you have no new song. So I think you should only go if you have been sent by God, and if you're convicted to go. If you go for any other reason, within time we will know you by your fruits.
Come on. Yeah. Wow.
So anyway, and this there are churches you go to and you shouldn't go to. Like, God hasn't sent you there. So that applies even to like clubs. That applies to anywhere. So you can say anything, but if you have not been sent by God, if you're not covered, if you don't have a covering, if you don't have people who are covering you in prayer, you will go there and stay there. So there should be that balance of being sent to the lost and not being equally yoked, right? And not going into spaces because of your own agendas, but yet you say you're going to the lost. So, and I think the Kenyan gospel music industry is a good example of the dangers of you going into a space you have not been sent to. Because us hanging out with, like, and I don't like that secular term because then it says that these are not our brothers, but like in spaces that are not, they don't necessarily like, they're not really like godly, or people who are not pushing that God agenda. If you stay with them long enough, their ideas or their way of living or their whatever or their attitudes would rub off on you, right? That is common knowledge. So I think we have been sent to the lost. So if you have been sent and you're convicted and you're covered and you're prayed up and all these things, you go. After a while, people will see you by your fruits, by the people that will get born again. But then again, Psalms 1, do not sit where you're not supposed to sit, do not listen, do not be in spaces where in your heart of hearts, God is not the one who has sent you in those spaces. Yeah.
Okay, so so it's not a question. I wanted to add something to what Moji is saying. I think maybe sometimes when we read scripture, we think that the lost are outside the church. Do we believe there are some lost in the church? Even me, I might be. Exactly. So I think we need to encourage ourselves to also begin around us before we attempt to go where we've not been sent. Yeah, because it's very easy to see the fruit, like Moji is saying. So I think it's very exciting to feel like, yeah, I'm the guy who goes, I get called to these stages, I'm friends with all these people, I have all these collabos with all these guys. But maybe, in fact, the lost could be your sister at home. The lost could be the person you're sitting next to on Sunday, that usher who, just got saved. So before we attempt to cross, let's first ensure that we have covered the lost that are nearest to us. But I would like to also emphasize a scripture that Moji talked about, Psalms 1. As creatives, let's be the kind that can read that scripture. And as people listen to our music or watch our content or interact with us, they can clearly tie Psalms 1 to the content that we're putting out. Otherwise, then there's pretty much no difference with the lost that we are trying to apparently save, even as we need to be saved. All right, questions.
All right, thank you so much. My name is Theres Kingsley, the rap evangelist. Okay, so my question goes to Pompi. It's how do you navigate making music, stroke art that is both culturally relevant and biblically sound? So short, and also, how can a Christian creative influence society without compromising their message? But also, I like how Pompi does it, how he talks about the matrix in a gospel song.
Yeah. Selling umbrellas in
the
the rain.
So I'll need you, this is the last question I'm asking. I like to keep it short. So you said in qualified no paper. So you said the devil is just a liar with a press pass. He got you caught up in the matrix. So how do we escape the matrix?
All right. Yes, please.
Thank you so much for all that insight and wisdom. My name is Beloved, and I had a question on family. It can go to anybody since we're all family people. My question is, you mentioned how we should strive to work with the best in all that we're doing. And how would you advise someone who has a younger family who would like to, of course, advance this, but at the same time you're building a family? How do you balance it practically, financially?
Whoa.
Thank you.
Over to you, Pompi.
Great questions. Start with the one, I guess, culturally relevant. One of the things that's very important to me is in the Bible, obviously, the Bible says, come before God in truth and in spirit, right? I never want to do music that's outside my truth. So I look less outward in regards to what drives my music. I'm influenced by the things that I love, and that's across so many different genres. I mean, I love jazz. I love all sorts of music. So I pick what I would love in the music. I pick that as a point of inspiration. And I don't box myself, like literally, I don't even know the genre that I do. Like in regards to, there was a big talk back home, they were asking me like, okay, like what's your genre? I have absolutely no idea. Outside it being gospel, but obviously gospel is not a genre, gospel is a message. It has sub-genres, there's hip-hop in gospel. So anyway, just side note, I don't agree with when we're awards and then they just categorize all the gospel artists, in one genre. Yeah. So if it's hip hop, they should put us with the hip hop artists. If it's so, that's so I guess I pick from those authentic to me. So now usually, like with a joke, right? Imagine you can't share a joke which won't crack you up, right? Yeah. Doing that is like a little it's crazy, yeah. So it has to crack you up first, and then you have the confidence to share it. But sometimes you can get lost in seeing somebody crack jokes a certain way, and then you're like, look, I want to crack jokes like him. And you mold yourself to try and deliver, but it doesn't actually reach you. So I would say, yeah, I think that's keep being authentic to what I love. Just to let you know, every time I release a song, I'm anxious. I have absolutely no idea how people will receive it. But it's just authentic. It's not like I would read the markets and say, okay, this is what's trending now. Piano is the new sound, so let me jump on this or whatever. It's really just an expression that's true to what I feel. So I hope that answers your question. Yeah, and I feel because of that, people also would relate to it. And then in regards to the matrix, that was a great question. So I'll start by saying, obviously, one thing we need to realize is that there's a war of our identity, right? There's a war of our identity, and the devil uses different things to fight our identity. Even if you see in Jesus Christ, when in the wilderness, the devil attacked Jesus' identity by when he was tempting him to say that if you are the Son of God, that was an attack on his identity. And if you think about it, he was offering Jesus that I am going to give you the kingdoms if you bow down to me. Which clearly the devil has got an identity issue. He's got an identity crisis, because that's like a tenant telling the landlord that I'll give you a house. Which is obviously crazy. But that's the audacity of the devil. He'll offer you something, and you already have. So there's an attack on our identity, even as artists. Sometimes we want to jump in conventional strategy. And like, I'll be very honest with you, what I said is real about being obedient. I strategize less than I am obedient. So I think in that obedience, there is unconventional strategy, and I'll justify that with the word again. So if you remember Joshua was a military man, right? So what he knew was military moves. But imagine now he wants the walls of Jericho to fall, and he's waiting on an instruction from God, right? Now, this is the instruction that comes from God: walk around the city 7 times. Think about being a general, and you've got 1,000 soldiers that are waiting for you to say, okay, give us the strategy. And you tell them that, look, guys, okay, what we're going to do, you would assume that, we're going to enter this way through drones. We're going to use drones here. We're going to hack their systems, and that's military talk. But the strategy God gave him is completely different. Our heritage as Christians is unconventional strategy. David is the same. Yeah, David is the same. Saul wanted to give him the strategy to defeat Goliath, which he knew. But he pioneered and created and innovated a piece of technology. It was a piece of technology. So now it seems like it's something else, but then it was a piece of technology that he invented. So essentially, even fighting is not always spiritual. He didn't beat Goliath with overnight prayer. Yeah, he killed him with a piece of technology. Yeah. So our heritage is unconventional strategy, and I believe that unconventional strategy comes from that sacred place, that prayer room. And I think that's how you break out of the matrix, because the matrix, I'll now describe the matrix to you. Fortunately, I got to see it. I sing that having seen it firsthand. So there was a program that I went for in the United States some years back with the American State Department. And they basically took us, it was something called Media for Civil Engagement. Now we went to, name it, like the biggest media. I mean, we went to every big record label. We went to the big media channels, met like music executives, and got to learn something that all the media in the United States is owned by one of 6 companies. Yeah, so like there's Viacom. Viacom owns BET, VH1, Cartoon Network. In case BET you thought was owned by black people, sorry. Yeah. It's owned by a man called Robert Sumner, and he's very, very Jewish. So so these 6 media companies they really control the narrative of what our reality is. They own record labels. I mean, like there's News Corp, which puts out all the market-related news, owned by Mike Murdoch. When you trade stocks and you are doing all that, you are trusting the information that you are coming from these platforms, and you trade based on that. So these guys own the narrative and the information that goes out. And so you can be trapped in that formation of what it's trying to make you. And I use formation deliberately. Why is, again, through a devotional, and I'll close with this. I had a devotional one day, and the Holy Spirit kept on bringing the word information, information, information. And I was wondering, like, what's going on? What's this? Yeah. And it finally clicked. In formation. That you are formed by what you take in. So all of us are a product of the information. Where you are now is a product of the information you have. You've been formed into what you are now. So essentially, these guys had to take control of the information because they knew they want to form people into a formation they want. So now that is the matrix. To be a rapper, you have to be materialistic. You have to be misogynistic.
Indecent.
You have to be indecent. You fit in, you want to go in, if you want to identify by that, you want to fit into that formation. But it's basically throwing out those rules and just that pioneering spirit, that's our heritage, basically falling in line with that and walking in it. Yeah.
Come on. All right. So we'll allow Moji to answer the question on family. The question was, how do you balance family finances with building a brand? And you want to build that too, but I mean, diapers are not cheap. And you're trying to do the most for your family, but also for your music.
This is such a powerful mic, man. You're preaching, though. Let's see whether it's a mic or the person, yeah? How do you balance? I think some of them will be sharing a lot of nuggets on how an artist you should treat your art, either as a startup. You should separate your, like I had to separate James from Moji, especially when I got married. Because when my wife came into my life as a girlfriend, I used to shoot music videos with all my money and eat bread for 7 days. And I know many artists have done that, I'd fuel the car so that in case I get a gig, I'm good, and eat bread and biscuits for 7 days with a very hot music video on YouTube. I'm killing Kenyans and I'm dying. But when family came in, I had to sort of like separate like the music and treat it, the business side, treat it very well. And my music video directors were not very happy because now I'd sit honestly and the music and be like, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to fit this within this budget and be honest. So you have to treat it as a business. To a certain point, sometimes even give yourself a salary and all that, even if you're earning, and so that you can be able to plan. And so, how many songs can I do in a year? How many songs can I do in a month? Nowadays, it's even getting crazier in terms of like the marketing budget, social media, and everything is. A long time ago, because I did not start singing yesterday, a long time ago, it was just put the song on YouTube, send CDs, and that's all that. But right now, you need a TikTok budget, promotion budget. You need to talk to some guys for playlisting. You need to. So it gets crazy. So the structure is simple. There's you, the person, and there's the music, the business. So if the music is earning money, manage that money well. Pay yourself. What you need to pay yourself, and manage that in your life. But keep the business going. If your music is not in a place where it's earning money, then Bob shared some very good pointers on how you should start and the people you should get first, social media managers, content creation, and all that. So, and as you manage it, as money starts coming, then you manage the money. There's something we say in Kenya is usikule stock. So usikule stock is, if you if you have a shop and you're selling unga, you can't eat all the unga. So even when you get money as an artist, you know how to manage the money and be like, okay, how much do I need to pump in back into the music, and how much do I need to put into my personal life? So how you manage it is that you just have to be honest, have people who can help you, and be honest with like this is how things are looking, and you need to manage it, and your partner also needs to understand. So there are times I've been called and they told, hey, you're being paid this much, and my wife is already going on Instagram looking at new fridges, and and she's like, I can finally get that washing machine, and I'm like, yo, this is not, money in doesn't mean money into the house, like I still need to do some other things. I need to release music. I need to plan myself very well. So I think you need to manage yourself and structure yourself mapema so that when the money starts coming in, some of us had to learn like on the job. So, but I think that's why we're here, so that you can start structuring, early enough, so that when the money comes, starts checking in, you're able to manage it and you're able to balance everything.
Wonderful. A round of applause for this amazing panel. Afreed, you still. So microphone to Afreed, then we're going to do something special with your permission, and then dinner will be served. That's the part where you say, dinner.
So I've been doing music for a while. My name is Anna Makula. And I've been doing music for a very short time, so I'm kind of new in the industry. And I've come to experience a problem where I have my heart for the ministry and my heart for the music. But then there's also the strategic music, which will be a banger, will be exciting for people. So I wonder how to balance ministry and music that really speaks, and then the bangers where people are like, okay, just do this Afrobeat or this awesome beat and let's go and let's make money. And you know it would make money, but at the same time you feel like that's not what I'm supposed to be speaking right now to the people in terms of ministry. And what you may be speaking may not be that interesting. It may not be that it may not be something that people want to hear. So I was just wondering how you navigate that in terms of also knowing what God has asked you to do and how to obey while still being strategic and wise. Yeah.
Okay, so I represent a fellowship, a Christian Creatives Fellowship called Miracle. And for a while, the question that has been on the group is about crossover appeal. But now, the English, yeah. The thing is, anyway, all the artists here, we respect you very much. You're all international artists, right? None of our Ugandan artists, who I also respect very much, are on the panel. It's not a bad thing. I'm just wondering, what type of mindset shift did you guys maybe do you have, or is it luck? Pompi said it's not that deep, but like some of these people have been grinding for a while, and it's been very deep, in suffering. You can look for it. That hustle can hustle you. Yeah. And you're like, hey, I mean, Manga, you're also going in obedience. Yeah. He's been guiding since like 1944, for example. Anyway, so what mindset shift is that you guys have? You're all artists from East and Southern Africa, so I think that is that goes to show that there's a different level of mind going on there, because many of the big artists that we have right now globally representing Africa on a global level are still from West Africa. So by the time you're from Eastern Southern Africa, that goes to show that there is something extra you guys are doing. So what are we missing? Is it mental? And if it is, what are the 3 principles you can share that you stand by? And like you mentioned, Joshua, with the walls of Jericho, if he decided to, record an album there from the Jericho album, guys, like this thing worked. It threw down walls. So what are we throwing down next with this next album? Maybe he wouldn't have been as successful. Like you said, it's unconventional strategy and you can't necessarily repeat it. Jehoshaphat, the king as well, used music as a way to win the war when, the Israelites were fighting. And this is a king, this is a military person, and David is also a king and a warrior and a shepherd. My question is, have you set camp where you are right now as musicians? Or do you believe that there is something God is calling you to that's like the ocean, if what you're doing right now is expressed as a river? Are you heading to some ocean in particular? And what is it? What's next for you as artists? Not as artists, as beings. Yeah, what's next for you? Yeah.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much. My name is Nora, and my question goes to Pompi. Recently, not so recent, but not so long ago, you got married. Guys, let's clap. He's married, and he's also married to someone that is in the same industry with you, right? And so my friends are there. The first song we listened to, I think, was Sangalala, and we had this mindset of, oh my God, this is going to be such a huge blessing to us, and they're probably going to release so many albums together now that they are one. When you got married, the songs aren't as many as we had hoped they would be. So is that something you decided on, yet you are in the same? Yes, I would just like to know how you two went about it, or where you're planning to go.
All right, so the question on releasing music that is relevant to, and that will be a banger, I'll allow Teresa or Bob, all right, Bob Pondo to respond to that. And then, Afri, you might want to stay here because your questions were more deep. I might not be able to reiterate them. It's not that deep though. Anyway.
Thank you.
So yes, Bob.
Let me quickly take that one. When it comes to sound, guys, first and foremost, we shouldn't underestimate or sleep on the provision of God.
Come on.
Yeah, God actually provides. Like He's really good at it, and He has promised that He's never gonna let none of us down. That's one thing we need to establish when we start our journey. I understand all the fear that comes. Can I do this? Should I do this music thing full time? That's the first point I wanted to make. Now, I'll give you an example. Pompi, he spoke about working with Standard Chartered. Teresa's faced corporate deal with Standard Bank. And she had one of the lowest numbers in the country, female artists. She was on 30,000 followers on Facebook. And there were artists, female artists that was 300, 400, but the deal came to her even when she didn't have a local hit. Even when she didn't do sound that resonates with Malawians. It didn't need that. Yeah? So like what Pompi was saying, she walked in her path and stayed obedient. You know, if the message that God wants you to communicate, I'll touch the strategy side, but I just want to face and foremost, we need to agree that God is going to provide.
Yep.
You understand? So if that's the message you need to do, just do it so well, because you shouldn't embarrass God. It doesn't mean that just because God has given you a message, you go to Combo and get or you get a producer there. No. You have to apply what Pompi was talking about, define the fine producers and make really dope art. You understand? Because you're representing the message of God. And in there, God is going to provide. Yeah? Now she has like probably 4 corporate gigs, and that did not come from having hits at home. Some of the great songs came, you know, as she was on the journey, and the idea of changing a sound or doing Afro or doing this type of sound did not come from really that. At the beginning, I'll touch this with the question that came with the mindset change. From the get-go, the idea was, can we make product that if someone in Gambia is listening to it, they will appreciate it? Can we take this message to someone in Brazil? Not just think. I have a challenge with Kenya, Uganda. I love what's happening now with Joshua Baraka on the secular side, where he has just gone outside and export the art. Yeah. In Kenya, what you see mostly, people are so contained with, you know, at home. You understand? Like, we don't get Kenyan artists doing stuff outside of Kenya, the ones that are gospel. Like outside East Africa, the same way you would have like the likes of Dimo Blazier, whatever, all those Afro gospel guys, you know. When Laura House was happening, these guys, they were making music that Malawians are gonna listen to. Ugandans are gonna listen to. Like, that was the mindset. I don't know if it was intentional for them, but that was the idea of like, when we started working, it wasn't like from Malawi. Even now when we're doing stuff, even when you hear local language in her sound, if you don't, you might not understand the language, but you enjoy the music. Because the intentionality of like this product should be exported to Liberia and someone's gonna appreciate it. So that's the mindset. But if the mindset is usually just to your people, you wanna be with your people and we'll be saying stuff like, I've been grinding for 10 years. Yeah. Yeah, so if the same thing, I'll give you an example with working with Limo Blaze. Limo Blaze, we started working when he was in college. There was no Afro gospel popping then. Limo Blaze was a rapper, if you guys have followed him for a long time. Yeah? Yeah. Limo Blaze was a rapper. When he first sent me his Afro song, I told him, bruh, this is what you need to be doing now. Because this sound is gonna push you on stages that rap is not gonna take you to. That was the conversation there. But that time there were traditional gospel in Nigeria, and people were focusing on that sound. Limo Blaze went all out pushing his sound for the global masses. So we were like, okay, let's take this music to the people that are receiving it and push it there hardcore. So when that music grew outside of its base, outside of Nigeria's caught on. It's the same thing with her. We did not, when we were doing blessings and stuff, it wasn't the sound for her. They did not resonate like that. But that did not change our focus. Then when the outside, we were like, like bringing all this news, we take that news and PR it at home. That's from a strategy point of view, yeah? Yeah. So you don't have to, so there's that mindset thing. It has to be from the get-go. If you want to go for the global market, go for the global market. Now, if you want to go for the global market, there are principles to follow. This is how global artists move. Study the guys that have done it the best. Sometimes even study secular guys. I study secular guys. I always tell, like, when we're in the studio, like, that Drake's producer says, if someone cannot whistle your song, it's not a hit.
Yay.
Yeah? They give each other a challenge to say, can you write a song with 40 words? You understand? So I'm not trying to say that we're doing it to make hits and stuff like that. But you just have to study the greats. So if you look at Pompi, what are the things he does? Like, because you cannot move like in a certain way and expect Pompi results. Yeah? So you need to study in your field. The stuff I want to achieve, who have achieved it? What do they do? How do they move? Who do they have around them? Practical example, I have built relationships with, and I'm not even an artist, with like radio people. Like Victor is my guy. Victor, you understand? Like I know DJ Mohi. I know like bunch of people. I've known Shad like for years. You get it? I was telling him the Kenyan DJs that are my friends. I don't have to like. So even you as an artist, like you might not get a feature from him, but you can get access to his marketing guy who can help you in Kenya. So when you see him, you just don't see features. Can we do it? Like Pompi, you don't just can we do features? Like there's so many things. Like for us to negotiate the first bank deal, I was even telling Pompi, he didn't know that. I knew Pompi had a Standard Chartered deal. I called his business manager. I'm like, we have just gotten approached by this bank. How did you negotiate Pompi's deal? And I had access to that manager because I had access to Pompi. And yet, Pompi and Theres have never done a song together. And I've known Pompi for 10 years. But we have done so much structure off of his riff, what he does. You get it? So those are the way, that's how you move. Like, okay, how do I get my music to Zambia? He's your guy. He's your guy, like him that he works with. Like, you get it? Like, yeah. How do I get my music to Kenya? You don't have to do a song with him. You can't do a song with him. But he knows so many people. He knows all the DJs, promoters, marketing guys. You get it? You want to get your music to Malawi. You understand? Like, you can see, like, the way I move. Let's say, Teresa, whenever she puts out a song, she gets on a cover playlist. You can get a feature from her. But the moment she gives you her vocals, I'm your most important person. Because you need to ask me, like, when she's listening to a song, what do you guys do? You get it? So that's how you move, like, in every region. Like, even in Afro Gospel, okay. Chat knows all of them. Remas, whatever, Limo. So he knows a bunch of them. So how do I get in the Afro Gospel space? You can hit up Chat. You're like, how can I get hold of Remas? I've worked with Limo and them. So I know producers, Afro Gospel artists. So those are the things to look for when you like want to go into like different markets. The same thing with in Zambia. We are arriving in Zambia on Saturday. I know the guys to call to arrange because she's dropping a project on Friday, by the way. So she needs to do it. She needs to do a media run in Zambia, but I can't do that. But I know the guys that he knows. If I just call now, can you set up 5 radios the day we land in Zambia? It'll be done. That's how you get it? Yeah. These victors that you have here, you need to have them in every country that you want your music to get. And it's us, the people that have come here. So whenever, at the end of this, it's not just us having conversations. You need to understand what you're going to... If your music is going to go to Kenya, how you can have a conversation with him. Forget his base. Because he has worked so much for his art. Where you are with where he is now, it might not match. He might not have value in having a feature with you, musical. But there's other values you guys can share. So it might not be the right time to do music together, but if you grow, it would be the best time the day you're gonna do music together. Because he was gonna benefit from you, you benefit from him largely. But there's so many things he can do for you today. Yeah. So identify all those things and then see how you can have those conversations. And then you take that into your own career and
Wonderful. Wonderful. Friends, allow me bring this to a close.